no, he's no good. It turns himself into a greedy, over confident monster.
Kind of remember like Donald Trump, you know what
I
I mean?
knew
Like a guy who was like,
hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Mostly Wrong Opinions. I am Tyrone. That is Devin. We are about to review a film that is nominated for multiple awards at the Academy Awards. It is Nightmare Alley. It is directed by Guillermo Del Toro, and he's a great director in Hollywood. He's a visual director, to tell you that.
Although I feel like this is a little bit more of a grounded film for him, because usually his movies are like super fantastical. So
this film follows Bradley Cooper's character in a circus, or they call carnies. Is that a bad word to say? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it's just someone who works at a carnival.
Okay, because I kind of feel kind of wrong saying it. And at first, when I was watching this film, I was like, "What is his angle?" The first thing that you see him do is basically burn his dead father alive in the house that he was, lit that bitch on fire.
But I feel like the way it's shot, it's unclear as to what's happening in the beginning.
It's very unclear.
So I'm like, are they trying to set me up to make me think he's bad, but he's not that bad? And the movie kind of plays with that a lot in the film. You're like, is this a good guy or is this a terrible guy pretending to be a good guy? So it's like, okay, I kind of like that setup, because it starts off the first scene, the opening scene. It's like clearly there's been a murder, and he's throwing a body in like a pit, lagging on fire. You're like, damn, what the heck, you know? Then he gets on a bus and just rides off till he wakes up, and you're like, all right. And he just happens to end up at a carnival where, like you said, he becomes a worker.
But he meets a guy who's very, very good at reading people, a mentalist. And he picks up these skills, and it just leads into this world where he values power and money over everything else.
Right. Like our character, again, this is where it's like, it's not 100% clear who this character was before this movie started. But as the movie goes on, he becomes a hustler, like a trickster. And he uses his mentalist abilities, which he got from his mentalist friend that he met at the carnival, to make a lot of money. He puts on these elaborate shows for rich people, and he makes them think that he can read their minds, but really he can't. He's like reading these mental cues, and he's got his assistant in the crowd who's feeding them information through like a little code that they speak in. So all that stuff is really interesting, because you never know whether or not you should trust what he's saying. Because like I said, the way the movie starts, you're like, is he good or is he bad? So you never know what his angle is. And then the people around him, especially at the carnival, they're all tricksters and hustlers too. So you're like, what's your angle? Are you being straight up with me, or are you lying? So this kind of like this inability to trust anything you see, anything you hear, really keeps you on your toes. So I felt I was pretty engaged in this film.
Yeah, I was pretty engaged with this too, man. There are these, I guess, mutated babies or whatever in this glass bowl, and I guess Willem Dafoe, who runs the first carnival that he gets to, he's got these like dead babies, and they are like in formaldehyde floating in these jars, and it's really off-putting. It's really off-putting, but I don't know if that was some type of symbolism for how he is, internally.
Yeah, I think Willem Dafoe's character, he presents all these things as being monstrous and scary. And look at this baby, it's deformed. And then look at this man, he's a hideous geek. He's terrible. But then, as you learn more, you realize no, they're just sad victims, right? The babies, they died at childbirth or they died in the womb, and now Willem Dafoe's got them on display as like freaks. And there is a character. And we don't know this character's name initially. His nickname was the Geek. He's being passed off as this like half man, half monster hybrid. But as we learn more and more about this guy, you're like, oh, he's just a sad guy that was found on Nightmare Alley, which is I guess where people go and when they wash out, they're drunks and addicts and stuff like that, end up on Nightmare Alley, and he's just probably a sad homeless man that happened to get wrapped up in Willem Dafoe's plan, and it's pretty sad, pretty effed up. Bradley Cooper is a hustler and a trickster, And his downfall is, of course, his confidence, because he finds someone who can out-hustle him, out-trick him, and he thinks she's on the up and up, and he thinks, I've got the upper hand because I'm the trickster. Nope, there's more than one trickster in the world, man. And by the end of the film, you realize, oh, this was this long play by this other character, and you're like, damn. He's not necessarily trying to trap her. He's trying to lure her into his plan, use her, and for like more money. But she got her own game, and she's got very clear motives, because there are some people she does not like. She's got a scar down her chest. She wants some people dead, and they end up dead. And Bradley Cooper ends up in the middle of it, and it's like, damn, he got out hustled. So I like that a lot. And the whole movie comes full circle in a way I'm not going to talk about right now. So I thought that was great. At first I was like, is he mute? Because he started the movie.
That's what I thought. I was like,
not saying anything.
Yeah.
He was like making these facial expressions. I'm like, oh, so is Bradley Cooper going to be quiet in the whole film? But then nope, he just like randomly starts talking, and I'm like, oh, okay, so he's not. So I felt like I was on my toes, especially with that opening image of like whether or not I should trust Bradley Cooper. And the movie did kind of lure me in a little bit, and I did start to feel some sympathy towards that character. After he leaves the carnival, he goes full hustle mode, and it's like, this guy's no good. He's up to no good.
No, he's no good. It turns himself into a greedy, over confident monster.
Yeah, he did. And you know who he kind of reminded me of? Kind of reminded me of like Donald Trump, you know what I mean? Like a guy who was like, because with Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, I don't think you can deny the fact that you can see him always trying to wriggle, trying to move out of a corner, you know what I'm saying? Always trying to pull at an angle or something, you know? And so that's kind of how this guy felt to me. And he had this veneer of like super confidence, overconfidence, right? And he got caught on this too, because he said, I never do that. Instead of saying, no, thank you. He said, I never drink. And Donald Trump literally says the same thing.
I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay?
Right.
It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. I've just, for whatever reason.
He says, I never drank. So this kind of like overconfidence, always selling it a little bit more. It's interesting.
She kept catching him on this. She's like, there's that word again, never.
Because she knew that's just, for overconfident people, that means that's a weakness of yours. He's like, oh, okay, so the drink is the weakness. All right. And so she kept offering him. She was like, oh, would you like a drink? And he's like, I never drank. Okay. Would you like a drink? I never drink. Would you like a drink? Just this once. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he thought he was reading her, but she was actually reading him. So I like that stuff, and I like the main character.
I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating for this film. With all this, like I said, I like this whole 30s, 40s type of feel with it. I guess it was kind of a warning tale of don't be a dick, but don't be a dick and try to hustle people.
Or just like a hustler, don't be so greedy.
You're gonna find don't be so greedy, because you're gonna find a hustler that hustles more than you, for sure.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I like this movie quite a bit. I'm also gonna give it an 8. I do agree that this movie is like, the whole theme of the movie is like, you can't out hustle a hustle. Game knows game, that kind of thing, So,
game recognized game, granddad. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
You're kind of unfamiliar.
Game recognized game, and you looking kind of unfamiliar right now. I can't. Where's granddad?
That's exactly what she was saying.
Yeah, for real, she really was. I thought what was interesting was, even she had a moment of like vulnerability, because when he was like, oh, you've got dark thoughts about yourself and this, that, and the other, you could tell that she was like, oh, that's true. Like even though I know this is a hustle, I know this is fake. He's like, oh, he hit a chord. And same thing with Bradley Cooper. When he first met a mentalist, he was like, oh, you and your father didn't get along. And Bradley Cooper's like, oh, that's true, because we saw him dispose his father's body. So it's like, okay. So I kind of like that. I like how both hustlers had like this moment of like vulnerability. It's a smart movie. It's a good movie. So I enjoyed it. And I did enjoy the setting a lot. And I liked Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe's like cackling evil. I liked that quite a bit.
Knocks it out of the park, man.
Yeah, again and again. This feels like Willem Dafoe's year or something, man. Like he's really been putting in some solid work.
I gave this film a 8. Devin gave this film an 8. That is our review for Nightmare Alley. I'd like to thank you for clicking on this video, all right? Hit that red button that says subscribe right there to the right. It's right there. Click it, and you'll be happy when you do, all right? If you liked our review of this film, hit that thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. Or you can hit the thumbs down and you'll be like, you know, Bradley Cooper sucks and everyone else sucks in this film and you guys suck. Whatever it is your opinion. But just remember one thing, it's mostly wrong. See you guys in another video. Peace.